Hey guys, my name is Tensor. Welcome to another Flutter tutorial video. In today's video, we're going to build out a bottom navigation bar, and we're going to talk about how we can create persistence between various different pages with elements like the scroll bars and expanded tiles and various different state items. Let's get started with the code here. So we've got a simple stateless widget here, which builds out our material application. And then we've got a stateful widget at the bottom here, which builds out a scaffold. Here I've built out the scaffold a bit. I've added an app bar, and then for the body, I've just put in an empty container for now. If you guys remember from the last tutorial or from many other tutorials, the scaffold widget has a property called bottom navigation bar. While in our other tutorials we have mostly put in just a bottom application bar widget, we also have a widget called bottom navigation bar, which we can use inside of this particular property. The bottom navigation bar is sort of like a row in that it allows us to have a list of widgets inside of it. Specifically, the items property takes in a bunch of bottom navigation bar item types. The easiest way to reason about this bottom navigation bar and its bottom navigation bar item widgets is to sort of think of them like tabs. So here we've got two of them. One of them has an icon of home and text of home for the title, and then the other one has an icon of settings and text of settings for its title. Here's what our example looks like currently. So you can see down here we have our bottom navigation bar, and we have the home icon and the settings icon. If we click on settings, you'll see that it will not actually change from home to settings. And that's because we need to fill out a property in the bottom navigation bar called the onTap property. This property takes in a callback function which takes in an integer, and the integer is based on the index of these items. So if I click on our home bottom navigation bar, the index will be 0. And if I click on the settings bottom navigation bar item, then the index will be 1. At the top of our state class, we can create a new global variable, and we can call it CurrentTab. And then down inside of the onTap function, we can call setState and push the index into CurrentTab. So this will allow us to change the number in this CurrentTab global variable, but it won't let us actually navigate from one page to the other. To actually get the buttons to work, we want to fill out the current index property of our bottom navigation bar, and for this we'll put in the CurrentTab integer that we created up here. So now when we open up our example, if I click on settings, you can see now it becomes blue and home becomes gray. And then when I click back to home, it becomes blue and settings goes gray. You guys may have noticed that when we switch from one tab to the other, we're not actually switching between pages. And that is for a number of reasons. For one, we do not have multiple pages. And we also need to make logic which will allow us to switch between the two pages. So now we can create the two pages that we want to assign to these two buttons. I'll just call them page 1 and page 2. And for now we'll have them be stateless widgets. Both of these pages just build out a container with a height of 300. And then each one has its own color. So page 1 has colors purple, and then page 2 has colors green. We can now come back into the My Home Page state object and add 3 more global variables here. So we want to have an instance of page 1, an instance of page 2, and then a list of widgets which we'll call pages. Now we can override the initState function, and we can instantiate page 1 and page 2 into these variables, and then we can create our list with 1 and 2 inside of it. Now we can create a final global variable. We'll call it current page, and we can set the current page by default to page 1. Now down inside of the body property, we can put the current page variable inside of it, and then inside of this setState call, we can change the current page based on the index that we're pushing into here. So we can make some simple logic like this where we just say current page equals pages index. So this will go into our list and then get the appropriate page. If we soft reload our application, you can now see that on home we have this purple container, and then when we click settings we get this green container. And of course we can go back and forth between the two pages. So while the bottom navigation bar is slightly more complicated than a simple tab system inside of the app bar, it is still fairly easy to implement. Alright, so now let's talk about persistence inside of Stateful Widgets. At the bottom of our application, let's create a data class so that we can model a little bit of data inside of our application. Inside of this data class, we'll create a final integer called ID. We'll have a boolean which will be expanded, and then we'll have a final string called title. And then of course we need to put all of these inside of the data constructor so that we can build out a list of these data objects. Then inside of page 2, I've put in the infinite list view that we've used in a few other tutorials. If we open it up inside of our application, you can see here I can scroll up and down in this list view and it will let me scroll forever. Now the reason why I'm putting this in here is so that you can see that the persistence of this list view doesn't actually stay when we move from settings to home and back to settings again. So if I scroll down to say index number 10 and then I click the home button and then I click back to settings, you'll see that it will start back at the beginning again. So this is obviously not a good thing if you want to be able to persist state no matter which screen the user moves to. The way to fix this is actually not that difficult. Before we talk about how we can fix the persistence of our scroll view, let's build out our page 1 a bit so that we can have some expanded tiles as well inside of it. Up inside of our My Homepage State class, I'm going to create a new global variable which will be a list of data type called DataList, and then inside of initState, we'll set up DataList with some dummy data. So we have data1 false and example1, and this goes all the way down with all of them being false for the expanded property and them having incremented IDs and titles based on which data object they are. Now we can take page 1 and page 2 and turn them into stateful widgets. And you can do this simply by clicking on the page name, clicking on the light bulb, and then clicking convert to stateful widget. Now once we've done that, we want to create a constructor for page 1 so that we can pass down our data list. And so what we do is we create a final list of data called DataList, and then for page 1 in the constructor, we instantiate the key here, and then we want to say this data list and then put key into the super constructor. Now let's remove the container from the build function here, and we'll replace it with a ListView Builder. The item count for this list view will be widget datalist.length, and then the item builder will take in our context and the index. Inside of this item builder function, we want to return an expansion tile for each item, and each of the expansion tiles will have a title, which will be our widget datalist index.title, and then the child will just be a container, which will have a color based on the index. So we'll just say, okay, well if the index is even, then we'll have them be orange, and if it's odd, then it will be lime. So this is the actual expansion part of the expanded tile. Now we want to go back up into the initState function where we're instantiating our first page, and we want to pass in the data list so that we can feed the data into our expansion list view. If we reload the list view, you can see now we have our expanded tiles and we can expand those tiles. But again, like with our other list view, if we go over to the other page, the state does not persist. One of the ways that we can fix this persistence problem is by using what's called a PageStorageWidget and a PageStorageBucket. So here we create our bucket. So we just say final PageStorageBucket, bucket equals PageStorageBucket. And then down inside of the build function, we wrap our current page inside of a page storage object, and then we put the bucket into the bucket property of this page storage object. This is very much like an inherited widget in that the bucket will now be exposed to any item that is down the widget tree from where we put the bucket. So both of our current pages and their respective widget trees will have access to this page storage bucket now. Let's add a few more of the properties to the expansion tile so that we can actually work with this bucket. The PageStorageBucket is just a key value pair cache that we can use to store our state inside of. So normally when we expand a tile, we call this onExpansionChanged function, and this allows us to change the expansion boolean to a different value. So inside of here we can say widget.datalist index expanded equals b, and we can call this inside of setState. And then for initially expanded, we can set this up by saying widget.datalist index expanded, and this will then determine whether or not the expansion tile should be expanded or not. Now this would work fine for our example, so if I open it up as it currently is and I click say example 3 and then I go to settings and back to home, you can see that example 3 is still open. And the reason why this works is because each of our data objects handles the internal state of the expanded. So that's being cached inside of the data object. This also means that every single time we come back to home, it gets redrawn and it reads from the data object, and it reads the initially expanded value of that particular data object. But what happens if we don't want to store the actual expanded property inside of the data object? Like with any other inherited widget, we can access our PageStorageBucket by calling PageStorageOf, passing in the context, and then we can call this writeState function on the PageStorage to actually write into the bucket. The data that we want to actually write into our bucket is just this b value. So we want to know whether or not the expansion has changed. The boolean will tell us true or false based on whether or not the tile is expanded. And then we want to add an identifier to it. So this is like the key of the key value storage. B is the value, and then the identifier is the key that we use to recall this value. And for the identifier, we can put in what's called a value key, and we can assign this value key to a string representation of our widget DataList ID. So this will be the ID for this particular tile, which will be a number between 1 and 10. We can then come down to the initially expanded field and call PageStorageOfContext read state to read the state of the expanded tile back from the bucket. For the read state function, again, we want to pass in the context in of, and then read state starts with the context, and we also want to pass in our identifier. So for this particular initially expanded, we're passing in a value key and then the widget datalist index ID. So each of the expansion tiles will have a specific ID associated with it, and that will allow us to pass the boolean value from one to the other. We do also want to make sure to check to see if this is going to be null, then we'll set it to be false, because when we initially start the application, all of the values inside of our page storage bucket will be null. So now we can reload our example, and if I open up a few of these and then go to settings and come back to home, they stay open, even though we're not actually reading from this expanded value here. And we can even just comment this statement here, which allows us to set B to the widget datalist index expanded property. And you'll see that doing that really has no effect on the persistence. So we're actually reading from our page store bucket, and it's allowing us to keep this persistent state inside of our expanded tiles. Now what about the scroll state for this page? If I scroll down to the bottom of the page here, and then I flick over to settings and flick back to home, you'll notice that the scroll will start again back at the beginning of the page. This is where we want to implement the other solution, which is called a page storage key. Back up in our My Home Page State class, we can create two page storage keys, one for each of our pages. So here we create two keys, both of them will be final, and we'll say final key 1 equals page storage key, and then we'll put in a string which will just say page 1, and then we'll have key 2 which will be assigned to the page storage key string page 2. You can really think of these page storage keys like an automation of the page storage bucket. So rather than having to actually read and write from the page storage bucket, we can just use these keys to hold on to our scroll state inside of our application. So that we can add our key to page 2, let's create a constructor for it. So inside of page 2, we'll just say key, SuperKey key. So this is just like what we did with page 1, except we do not have an extra field that we're putting in here. And now where we're instantiating the 2 pages, we can take our 2 keys from up here and put them inside of these page objects. So here we now have key 1 inside of page 1, and then we have key 2 inside of page 2. Doing things this way is going to work perfectly fine for the settings page, but it's not going to work well for the home page. So if I open up, say, example 1, and then I scroll down to the bottom of the page, and then I click over to the settings icon, and say scroll down to index number 15, if I come back to home, you'll see now we get this white screen, and if I come back to settings, it's still on the 15th item of our index. The problem here is that for page 1, our key is trying to store the Boolean values of our expansion tiles as well as the scroll value, and it's casting that Boolean value into an integer. So because we're using these expansion tiles inside of our first page, we just want to comment out this key here, and then we want to add a key to each of our expansion tiles. Down inside of our expansion tile here, I'm going to add a persistent storage key to each of the expansion tiles, and we'll give it a value as well. And then what I'll do is I'll comment out all of the page storage logic here, and then make it so that we're storing our persistence inside of our data list. So now you can see if I come in here and say open up example 1 and then scroll down to example 10, then come back into settings and then come back into home, now everything is open. So this is happening because the page storage key here is being assigned to every single one of our expansion tiles, which means that if we change one of the values for our page storage key, it will then change all of the values for our page storage key. So we want to make sure that we have individual page storage keys for each of our expansion tiles. Like we did before, I'm just going to base our page storage key on our index ID. And then I'm going to just comment out all of the onExpansionChanged and the initially expanded stuff. So all of this has now been removed from the application. So now let's reload this, and if I open up example 1, go over to settings, and then come back to home, example 1 now persists and it stays open. We do have one minor snafu with this, however. If, say, we open up example 1, scroll down to example 10 and open it up, and then scroll down to the bottom, and then we click settings and come back to home, you can see it scrolls all the way back to the top. So it's not persisting the scroll state in this case. However, this is just a simple fix. We just uncomment this part here where we're adding the key to our page 1. And the reason why this now works is because the actual expansion tile state is being stored in the individual page storage keys on the expansion tiles. And then the scroll state can be stored in these keys, the key 1 and the key 2. So now here I can randomly open a few of these and even scroll up and down. And then I can move over to settings and scroll it a bit. Here we go. So I've scrolled it down to number 60. If I come back to home, you can see all of the tiles that I opened up are still open, and we're still scrolled down to example 10. And then if I come back to settings, we're still scrolled down to index number 60. Alright guys, well, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Just to summarize, if you want more fine-tuned control over the persistence of your state inside of your Flutter application, then you typically want to go with the PageStorageBucket. However, if you just want everything to be automated, then you can just go with a page storage key. If you like this tutorial, feel free to like and subscribe. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them in the box below. And if you dislike this tutorial, then by all means, downvote it as much as you like. Have a good night.